After our miscarriage, my husband said a baby wasn't in God's plan for us. Then I found his vasectomy paperwork. I found the receipt while searching for our tax documents, a medical payment to a urologist from 3 years ago, just 2 months before we started trying for a baby. At first, I thought nothing of it. Mark had mentioned having some tests done before we began trying to conceive. Just making sure everything's working properly, he'd said. But something about the amount caught my eye. $1,200 seemed excessive for routine testing. So I googled the doctor's name and the specific procedure code listed on the receipt. My hands started shaking when the search results appeared. Vasectomy, minimally invasive procedure. 3 years of trying, 3 years of temperature tracking, fertility apps, and scheduled intimacy. 3 years of watching my hope rise and fall with each passing month. The miscarriage last year had nearly broken me. My 12 weeks of joy shattered in a single doctor's appointment with those horrible words. I am sorry, tears, no heartbeat. Through it all, Mark had been my rock. He'd held me through the endless tears, assured me we'd keep trying, and reminded me that sometimes God has other plans for us. God's plans, my husband's secret vasectomy. The pieces suddenly aligned with sickening clarity. I sat motionless at our desk for hours, the receipt still in my hand, memories replaying with new context. Mark suggesting we wait a few years after marriage before trying, his reluctance when I finally brought up having children, followed by his suspicious enthusiasm once I insisted. His peculiar calm during each negative pregnancy test, contrasted with my increasing desperation. The miscarriage now seemed impossible minus until I remembered the fertility specialist mentioning that even after vasectomies, pregnancy could occasionally occur if the procedure wasn't 100% effective. These breakthrough pregnancies were rare but happened. That's why my pregnancy had been so miraculous and so brief. His vasectomy had worked just not perfectly. When Mark came home that evening, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the receipt, the Google search results, and our calendar marking 3 years of trying laid out before me. "What's all this?" he asked, his voice casual until his eyes focused on the papers. "Did you get a vasectomy before we started trying for a baby?" I asked quietly. His silence was confirmation enough. "Why?" My voice barely a whisper. "Why put me through this?" Mark sat heavily across from me. "I never wanted children," he said finally. "But you were so excited about starting a family. I thought eventually you'd accept it wasn't happening and move on." "Move on," I repeated. "I've been in therapy for depression since the miscarriage. I've blamed my body, my stress levels, even my faith. And you let me. I didn't know how to tell you the truth without losing you," he said. "So instead you let me lose myself." I stayed with my sister that night, then a week, then a month. Mark sent texts daily minus explanations, justifications, pleas for understanding. He claimed he truly loved me but had always been terrified of fatherhood due to his own childhood trauma. He begged for another chance, promising to get the vasectomy reversed. But something had broken permanently. Not just trust, but the future I'd imagined. Even if we somehow moved forward, I'd never forget that while I grieved what I thought was our baby, he'd been secretly relieved. His procedure had ultimately worked. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I used part of the settlement to freeze my eggs minus a decision that felt like reclaiming control over my future. Mark sent a final email saying he was starting therapy to work through his issues and hoped someday I could forgive him. I didn't respond. Some betrayals don't deserve the closure of forgiveness. Yesterday, my doctor confirmed I am 6 weeks pregnant via donor sperm. This time, here is no husband watching with secret dread as the test turns positive. Just me embracing both motherhood and the truth that sometimes God's plan isn't what's standing in your way, it's who.